Fruit is a great source of vitamins, minerals, fiber, pectin, and so many other nutrients. But the interesting thing is that so many of us eat fruit the wrong way. And as a result, we either don't get the maximum benefits we could have, or we just mess up our digestive processes and sometimes even harm ourselves more. So why do we eat wrong? What mistakes do we make in doing so? We'll break it down in detail in this video, so watch it to the end. It will be very interesting and delicious. By the way, friends, be sure to subscribe to my channel and on the bell too. Don't miss my novelties. So, item number 1. This is when should fruit be consumed? Along with a meal, either separately or after or before. Very often we eat fruit as a dessert. For example, we have had lunch and snacked on it all with a sweet apple, or a banana, or a fruit salad, whatever you like. However, studies show that this is not the best way to eat fruit. Scientists assure that the best moment is between meals. So, studies have shown that if fruit is eaten on an empty stomach, they are very quickly evacuated from the stomach in just 20 minutes, and then enter the intestines, and there is digestion. And this is an absolutely normal, natural, fast process. That's how it should be. But if we eat fruit with a hearty lunch, then our stomach will still be full, and the same fruit mass will linger in it for a long time. That is, it will not be evacuated immediately, but will lie together with the food lump. And then the problems will begin, because the fruit can start fermenting. And this is where several negative things come from. First, the value of the fruit itself will be lost. Vitamins and minerals will be assimilated worse, and as a consequence, we will get less benefits. And the second negative moment is the disruption of our gastrointestinal tract. That is, if we have bloating, it entails an unpleasant feeling. We may have a tummy ache, increased gas formation. And all of this, of course, is not good for our stomach or our mood. And that's why there is a recommendation that the best way is to eat fruit between meals or in the morning on an empty stomach. And one famous nutritionist, Alan Walker, even developed a specific table. Depending on how you ate, when you need to consume fruit, or rather, when it is optimal to consume it. So if you had a light meal that included only vegetables, you can eat fruit after 2 hours. If you had a dense meal with not only vegetables, but for example with cereals, but at this meal there were no meat dishes, then it is optimal to eat fruit after 3 hours. And if you ate a dense, high-quality meal, and there was also meat, and especially if it is red, then it is optimal to eat fruit not earlier than 4 hours. So the logic here is simple. The easier for digestion was our meal, the earlier you can eat fruit. And we know that meat, especially red meat, is quite a difficult food to digest in our stomach. So if we have eaten a lot of meat, especially red meat, we wait at least 4 hours. Otherwise, if we mash it all up with fruit, don't be surprised, discomfort in the stomach area. There is one more trick. Consume fruit 30 minutes before a meal. That way we are more likely to make it through those necessary 2 to 3 to 4 hours after the previous meal. And our fruit in those same 30 minutes will very quickly evacuate from the stomach, follow into the small intestine, and they're very briskly digested. And 30 minutes after eating the fruit, we can have a full meal. There is another approach to eating fruit. You can consume them in the morning with a glass of water. Once in one of the previous videos, I have already told that it is a very useful habit right after you wake up to drink a glass of water. Then gradually get ready, make yourself breakfast, and in about 20 to 30 minutes directly eat. So one of the ways to consume fruit from the morning along with a glass of water is to take this very fruit. But you still need to remember that you should not eat too much fruit. If you really want to eat a big plate of fruit salad or immediately a heap of apples, then such a nourishing meal is better to arrange not half an hour before the reception, and do it as a separate meal. Well, now some useful tips and recommendations that relate to the intake of fruit. If you want to meet the standards of a healthy diet, then you should eat 400 grams of fruits and vegetables a day. In total, what are the healthiest fruits? In fact, the healthiest are seasonal fruits that are grown in your area. This is a very important indicator of just seasonality and proximity to your habitat. That is, if we buy some fruit from South America in winter, it is clear that it is not seasonal, because in our region fruit does not grow in winter, and it is not from our region. So it's been transported in a container for a couple of months, fertilized with lots of preservatives and pesticides. When you consume fruit, it is highly advisable to remove the skin from it. This, of course, applies to apples, for example. The fact is that very large amounts of pesticides that are used in agricultural industries to repel insects and parasites can settle on the surface of apples. And then we consume these very pesticides. They're also heavily laced with preservatives because they have to be transported so that they don't spoil in that very container until they get to you. Also, these same apples are very often coated with wax. And wax is a hydrophobic substance that simply cannot be washed away with tap water. Why do they use it? And because the wax gives a beautiful shine. If you see such a wonderful, attractive, shiny apple, it's very likely that it has been treated with wax. And you can't eat it. It's toxic to humans. So of course, always strive to remove the peel wherever possible. Well, in the case of bananas, oranges, there's no problem here. We will remove the peel anyway. In the case of an apple, of course, peel it. But there are some types of fruit where it is almost impossible to remove the peel. For example, grapes. Here, if possible, it is better to refuse from such fruit. The next point that needs to be mentioned is the simple sugars in fruits. Yes, fruit can be overdone. If we eat too much of them, the benefits will not be as much as the harm. Still, we should not forget that fruit is sugar. For example, the champion among fruits in terms of sugar content is grapes. In fact, grapes do not even have particularly useful vitamins and minerals, but they are very, very high in sugar. Also, for a long time, there was a myth that fructose was a healthy alternative to sucrose, simple sugar. In fact, it is not. Fructose is not very healthy either. Yes, indeed, fructose doesn't promote as much insulin release as regular sugar does. But on the other hand, it's also not very healthy, because studies have shown that long-term consumption of too much fructose leads to liver disease. So here's a basic recommendation. 400 grams of fruits and vegetables a day, with a predominance of vegetables, which should still be more than fruit. And eating more than this standard is not a good option. By the way, friends, post in the comments, what is your favorite fruit? What fruit do you eat most often, or do you like most? For me, for example, my favorite fruit is kiwi, because it is such a kind of champion of vitamin C. What's yours? Tell me about it, it will be interesting. And now I highly recommend that you watch my other video, the link to the video you just had on your screen. And if you like the video, like and subscribe to my channel. See you soon.